All right, let's talk about our little fancy lines of support and resistance this morning on what we drew in, and we're batting like a 90% average. One of the stocks just completely blew right on through. Can't believe it. It usually doesn't happen, but it is what it is. So looking at Tesla first, what we want to see is we mentioned that it would fight in around this particular area. This would be the support. Now, it did come through. If we turn off aftermarket or extended hours, it came down, filled the gap. I'm a big fan of when stocks fill their gap. It gives us a very low, very close to risk, low entry for an up move. Now, we said this is the area that would battle. We said there would be nothing but sellers up here looking at a larger time frame. Let's actually go to back to the extended hours. We said that there are, right here in this area, we mentioned that there is this support. And there was a lot of buyers coming off this support. And it gapped underneath the support, this being the new rescue mission. Okay, for people that did not get out of their position on this sell-off, on this panic sell-off, that they would now start to get out of it up here. So we liked Tesla around this price area, mentioned that to get up and around this area. Now this was the buy this morning, and go back, look at the video this morning. I'll post it at the end, and that way you could check out the morning stock call out. But this was the dip buy right here on Tesla, so be sure to check that out. And if you like what you're hearing and want to get the support and resistance lines, this is going to help you obviously understand the direction of the stock, where we expect the stock to move, what we're expecting the stock to do, and this would help you possibly get good entries and exits for the stocks that you decide to trade. Okay, and so that was the buy on Tesla. And then we had Uber. Now, we mentioned that this was a demand zone, and I mean a demand zone because we have institutional buyers propping the stock up when it was falling down in the downside in and around this area. So what happened is yesterday we got the news. It pushes on up. Everything's looking terrific. We hold this area, and we hung out in this area. Now, this morning we were kind of doing one of these things pre-market when we were talking about it. And I mentioned, hey, if it gets above this line, it was like $45 or something like that. If it gets above that, then we would see higher prices to come. Sure enough, Uber off to the races. And so that was great to see. Again, check out the video. It's all stated way ahead of time. Now, DraftKings, we wanted this level right here. This is actually a gap fill level. We wanted it to hold. It did hold. And but what we were really wanting to see it do is hang out and around this area. It hung out a little lower. No big deal. It never pushed up into this area to even give us anything. So this is the area we'd love to see a pattern being built in tomorrow. And we need to see it make some higher highs. Okay, we are making some higher lows, but we need to make some higher highs for this thing to make some sense. Here was the previous day's low. We still made a lower low, but now a higher low. And now we need to make some higher highs. Okay, so it needs to get past this area, build a pattern that we can get behind. And once it gets above this gray line, we should really get the confirmation for this thing to rock and roll to the upside. Roku looking a little supercharged, as we mentioned, and we got our move. So we also mentioned that Roku wanted, that we need Roku to make higher highs. It is making higher lows, which is terrific. And then it validated, because it hasn't done that yet. If you go back and you look, it has not validated the 180 moving average at this point. And honestly, it probably needs to do it again. So all we have is a simple ABC pattern going up. That pattern is complete at this point, and now we do need it to make that higher high scenario for this thing to continue. So maybe tomorrow what we would like to see is it to hang out, pull back, validate that EMA, or push higher, then pull back. Regardless, we're still going to be watching Roku. On the daily chart, it is running into the 9 moving average, so we want to be aware of that. The other thing we want to be aware of is if we add the 2 prior candles, not including today, if we add those 2 prior candles together, we're going to get something that looks like this. An indecision bar, or pseudo doji candle, or doji candle, whatever you'd like to call it. Name's not important. What is important is, depending on whatever side we decide to break in or above or beyond, this stock should continue upside or downside. So we are watching Roku for a move higher. Now, PTON. Let me tell you a little bit about something about PTON. There was a lot of sellers in PTON. Now let's go down to a smaller time frame. This is something we like. PTON down at that blue line. And down. Okay, up at that blue line. When it's selling off and it's got a candlestick like that, and first of all, pre-market, when it's got this kind of sloping pattern, all the moving averages underneath it, I mean, the 9 moving average is really close to it, and it's got that steep of an angle. You do not try to catch that falling knife. It will get you every time. And so we went ahead and stayed out of it. There was some buyers. We can see that wick there. There's people covering. There's some buyers there. So expect this area, especially this indecision area, to be some resistance on the way up. But one thing I do like about PTON is it did make a higher low. Okay, and a higher high. So now the trend could be changing. This is just a 10-minute time frame. Let's check the hourly time frame tomorrow, see where it's at. One of our friends here says, hey, Josh, PTON is going to $80. So let's check out $80. Oh man, $80 looks nice. I'll tell you what, I like PTON at $80 as well. This particular candlestick pattern, if we're looking on a bigger time frame, there is a lot of momentum to the downside, absolutely. But generally, the common thing that's going to happen is this thing is going to probably find some support before it reaching $80. Let's see, just already, let's see if it can break through roughly this $92, $92.50 area first. And if it does continue, then we'll be looking for some cheaper prices. But as of now, that is the low, and it did make a higher low, so we are watching it for a reversal. All we need to start doing is get back and above that yellow line right there, and we could be on an uptrend. Okay, but remember that 50 moving average, it's coming down, and it's coming down real nice and steep like. So we want to be cautious of that. Riot, we're going to go ahead and add. We liked Riot at the blue level once again because that is the gap in the chart. We have 2 gaps on Riot, up here at $28 and then down here at $26 roughly. We found a base right in the middle, and we hung out. We found and gave ourselves a retest. We were not watching this, but just hindsight, looked at it later, we could possibly get some movement on Riot. But what I would be looking for is this area had a lot of buyers. Matter of fact, I was a buyer here a couple different times. And we do not want to hang out. Once it broke down, the buyers don't want to hang out anymore. Okay, so when it gets back up here, anybody that did not cut their loser in this area, once again, just using a little bit of the psychology, looking at the charts, we are going to potentially get some selling pressure at that level. But we are low. So, low on the charts equal buyers. But definitely want to read the technicals, of course, in the meanwhile. So, hey, give me a thumbs up if you find the information useful. And then, of course, comment and subscribe to the channel. Click the notification bell. And we will see you tomorrow morning.